Okay, another edition of Riding Home. Dean Legge, Ryan Curley is on location, obviously. So Georgia is only 10 days away, and you've got there's a lot of stuff from practice today. What jumped out to you in the grand scheme of things?
Let's. I'll go trenches first.
All right,
Looks like Ratledge is back in his spot at right guard. We
right.
talked to him last night. He told us he feels good. Um, that he repeatedly said, because for some reason he got several questions about how he feels. So he repeatedly said how good he felt, and that he felt the way he did heading into last year. So trust at the left guard spot. Obviously,
Yeah,
the
I,
tackles and the center have been the same throughout this entire process. The trust at that left guard spot, that's been the same now for a couple of weeks.
yeah, someone that I know was at practice last week, and said that Truss was with the ones at left guard, but that he said, I know they roll guys in and out of there, so he didn't take it too seriously. But this is now, you know,
Yeah,
this is
I
not the
wouldn't
last.
take nothing. Yeah, I wouldn't take nothing from it because it's been like that for a
Right?
while now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
I
look,
I
man,
would think that he would be the left guard against Oregon at this point.
so you're talking about, I mean, not that Willock isn't a big person, but Xavier Truss is huge, man. You're
Yeah.
talking about a pretty significant sized
Mhm.
offensive line for Georgia.
Yeah, they're big. I think we've kind of beat the nail into people like this is a big offensive line, and that's good. They're big and they're athletic. I think that it's a good group.
Hmm.
Left guard seems to be their question mark, but the answer to that question mark for now is Truss or Willick, and either way, you have someone that's a huge human being at that spot.
Right.
Other
What
side
else?
of the ball,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if we're sticking to interior, it's still Jalen Carter and Zion Logue. It's been clear that those are their two interior guys, first
Right.
team, for the entire offseason now. Couldn't really see too much else with that. It looks like Jonathan Jefferson and Nazir Stackhouse were after them, and Brinson were kind of following those guys. If you move outside on the line, what I would consider to be I think the way that Georgia plays defense is so rotational that these guys don't have set in stone positions. So what I would call the defensive end, or the Trayvon Walker role of last year, is Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Michael Williams, and Tramel Wathauer, right?
Right.
They
Right.
worked together a lot today. I think Williams is going to be on the field a lot as a freshman. He's the fastest of those three in short drills. He
He
has
is.
the quickest. He's the most athletic. Now, Ingram Dawkins has been, kind of that guy for them this entire offseason at that spot, but I expect to see Williams in there a lot. I think he's probably their best from a raw talent standpoint at that spot. As far as I thought Nolan Smith was getting into Ingram Dawkins' face. I think he's just trying to hype him up or something like that. You can go further down what he said. I'll keep it PG on the video for now.
Right. Yeah.
But Nolan Smith is their vocal leader. You could
No
tell in
question.
practice, you could tell in press conferences. He's their talker, and I think it's good that it's good for them that you can see in practice too that he's trying to motivate guys.
Yeah, Nolan's going to matter a lot. We've talked about Nolan quite a bit. Um, just to me, this is going to be just my take. We can talk about Kenny and Kendall and all this stuff in
Mhm.
the near future,
Yeah.
but this is going to be a tough task for Oregon to get through. This is a huge Georgia team. When you've got like, Blasky, Willick, Erickson, Wilson, and Mims are running with the twos. I mean, look, college football linemen are big, but these guys,
Mhm.
I cannot stress enough how large these guys are, and this is a very big offensive line. Quarterbacks, real quick.
Quarterbacks. I thought Stetson. It's funny to me because I think in the short viewing periods we get, I find that Stetson happens to be a little inaccurate when I happen to be watching him. Today, I thought he was very sharp. I thought his deep ball was impressive. They were right on the money. No one's guarding, but it's good to see that his deep ball accuracy is at least consistent in practice. Um, he's their guy. I don't think that there's too much to say about that. It looks like Carson's the two. I don't know what the gap is between him and Brock Vandegrift, but it's 1, 2, 3 Bennett, Beck, Vandegrift, and then from a pass catcher standpoint, that first group seems pretty solid. First group, they're going to play a lot of guys, but that first group of pass catchers has been pretty solidified for the better
Right.
bulk of the last month,
Right.
with A.D. Mitchell, Lab McConkey, Kyrus Jackson, and then Brock Bowers. Um, a few number changes.
I saw
If,
that.
so at first I was like, who is number 7? And he is huge. And then I looked around. I was like, oh crap, that's Gilbert. Um, Rosemy Jackson was wearing number 1. Jackson Meeks was wearing number 9. Those two receivers were working in that second group with Blaylock. There's no Arian Smith right now, and he would have been taking some of that time. That gives guys like freshmen like Denylon Morissette and Dylan Bell, who Dylan Bell's gotten a lot of buzz this camp. He was rolling with the threes. Delp was actually rolling as the number 2 tight end. I think I put in my notes that I wouldn't take too much out of that order. They're all going to see the field a lot. That's my takeaway. I think they're all going to be on the field a lot, all 4 of them. I really do.
So they will be. And when you start talking about number changes, so here's where we're at on the calendar, and we're 10 days away from Georgia playing, but this is an off week practice. That means that this week would be like a regular week or during the season, the week before the Florida game. So they practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're going to be off Thursday probably, and they could be off Friday in order to kind of one of these days in the near future they're not going to be at practice. So
and
that's
we think that's tomorrow, right?
we think so. We don't know. I mean, they're not going to practice on Sunday, and they're not going to practice on Saturday. I don't think. If they do, I mean, these like if guys scrimmage, if there's some sort of competitive thing, it's not going to be the number 1 guys. It's going to be a group that's it's going to be younger guys. But I think this team is going to be tough to deal with. But I do want to see what happens in the Oregon game. I mean, I hate to be that way. I always say, well, let me tell you what's going to happen after the first quarter. I'm almost always right about that. Of course, I think a lot of people could be that. Anyway.
I think there's been it's been a long off season. We're going to learn so much about them here in 10 days. And we're going to learn a lot about them in the first few weeks of the season. That's when we'll have a better idea. But I think the overall takeaways now is it's still a loaded team. It's very deep. They didn't recruit all these excellent talents by accident. And it's going to be plug and play at a lot of spots. But on offense, they're certainly very, very talented, very deep. Depending on how they decide to play, they're going to score a lot of points.
Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. It's an 80-page look at the Georgia Bulldogs as we head into the 22 season. This will be your celebration of the 21 national championship. Don't miss out on this book. If you haven't gotten it for yourself, do yourself a favor and grab it down below. There's a lot of very good articles. I don't think you'd call it an article, but a great recap of the season and images you're not going to see from anywhere else. There's Arian Smith catching a ball. Nolan Smith with a block punt. What is this thing's name? Blooper?
Braves. Blooper.
This is actually one of the best pictures of the season. You can't really see it. This is when Stetson wound up on the Mizzou bench, which was, I think they threw a flag for that. I'm not sure, but Mark Richt was there that day. We talk about all this stuff. Make sure you're picking this up today. I don't, we've talked about a lot here. Let's focus just real quick on Kenny, and there's now building more and more optimism about Kenny McIntosh. I mean, it's go time for Kenny and Kendal Milton for sure, but this is definitely Kenny McIntosh's final season, if I'm not mistaken. Although he could get the COVID year back, I don't. The arithmetic on some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, it makes no sense for him to stick around, whether he can or he cannot.
If he plays the way that I think he will, then he'll be in the league next year.
Exactly.
But Listen, I think when it comes to the running backs, I think it's funny because we're playing a little bit of like the opposite game with Georgia fans because usually, like we talked about last week, and I was sitting in this very, very spot when we had this conversation, and we talked about the pessimism and the freaking out about things.
Right.
But when it comes to these running backs, I feel like this offseason, oh, well, Andrew Paul's hurt. Well, Kenny McIntosh is going to be. I don't know. I feel like like it's an opposite effect that Georgia fans have had. There seems to be a lot of optimism around Kenny McIntosh when we talk about the Kendal Milton injuries and the Andrew Paul injury. To me, and I don't. I think at the beginning I was in the minority. I've been a Kenny McIntosh guy for a long time. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's really, really good. I think he is their one. I do, and there's
It
nothing
sure
wrong with that.
seems like it.
Kendal
Yeah.
Milton is going to play a fair amount, but Kenny McIntosh is their most versatile player. He's been their most consistent guy health-wise, and he's been around the longest. He's their number one. I think he'll get the majority of the touches.
Well, I don't know if he will or if he won't. I mean, the question for me is just durability with both him and Kendall Milton. If Kendall Milton is ready to go, I would play Kendall more. But let me just tell you right now, this is not a either or situation. I mean, it's like having a discussion about who is better, Sony or Nick. If you didn't have a discussion about that and you immediately said Nick, I don't know. I mean, Sony was a really good player. The point is, you've got both. You don't have to decide. You just play them. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not quarterback. You give them go. Look, Kenny. I don't have it in the book, but Kenny, that run against Georgia Tech. I mean, he was gone quick, and with the backs Georgia had a season ago, there was a reason why he didn't get a lot of touches compared to what he's going to get this year. Um, Kendall, I think, is the one that for Kendall, the money's on the table too, and you just can't ever know. I would not be shocked if Kendall had an amazing season, but we need to see it because it's time, and I'm rooting for the guy. I think he can do it for sure. But man, hey, look, I don't think people understand. It's just not fun playing running back in the SEC sometimes, and you're getting put on the ground and you're physically confronting someone every time you touch the ball. That's not fun, and so
yeah.
this stuff adds up.
I think kind of just to like what you said with Kendall there. He's got to do it. He just hasn't done it yet because he's been
Correct.
hurt. And I
Correct.
think McIntosh has been a little bit more reliable in that regard. We're going to see a lot of Edwards for sure, and we're
Yeah.
definitely going to see some Branson Robinson. We are because they always go really deep on the running backs, especially in the second half. You're going to see all four of those guys play,
Yeah.
and it's still a good room. Not as experienced as what they've had in the past, but
Right.
the talent is there. The talent is there. It's their turn is probably the best way to put it. It's a lot of these guys' turn. With Kendall, we have to see. We know what he is. We have to see him do it at this stage, and he just hasn't really done it yet outside of a couple plays over the last couple of years.
Right. And that's the worry is, for him, not his doubting his ability to do it. I mean, I'll tell you, I think it was a season ago against Auburn. Man, he was hammering them in the fourth quarter or
Yeah,
third quarter. They wanted zero to do with that guy. And I wouldn't either. I mean, that's not fun. But we just need to see it. Now, the question is how many, are they going to run it 30 times? Kenny gets, 12 or 13 or something like that. And then, Kendall gets 8, Edwards gets, 6 or something like that, whatever these numbers are adding up to. And then Branson gets somewhere around 6 as well. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do. But they need Kendall for that time. I mean, if it's that Kendall needs to do 15, they need him to do the 15. As the legendary coach of the Tucker Tigers used to say, Jack Waters, we need you to be good when we need you to be good. It's great. It's great that you're good when we don't need that, but when we need you to be good, you need to be good. That's when we need you to be good. And now it's come time for Kendall Milton. We're at that moment. And
yeah. It's interesting to me, like what the national media thinks about Kendall Milton. If you look at Heisman odds and everything, he's really not that far down that list. I don't get. Do you get that? I mean, with the way that these running backs are at Georgia, and just the way they've never really they haven't really just featured
So
one in a
so
while.
man, I hate because people think I'm doing some political thing, and I'm not. Look, the national football media, they don't have the first idea what goes on at these practices, and that's just all there is to it. And it's not that they're not good reporters or whatever. That's not what I mean, but they're not here. When's the last time you saw a national reporter at a practice?
I've never seen that. I
Well,
mean,
there you
so
go.
there
There you
there
go.
you go.
I
That's
mean,
it.
so I don't, I don't know what the third or the number two back at Alabama, if that's Trey Sanders. Well, I was at Trey Sanders' commitment announcement. Me and John Garcia. Okay, that was it. So I mean, I have a feel for what he looks like in person, and but they're going to have Gibbs over there. I think. I mean, I don't know what Alabama's number four wide receiver looks like, and I don't make those comments. I don't know enough about that to really say. But inevitably, we get this stuff, and if you watch the games enough, I think you're qualified. But I think a lot of these guys do not watch games, and they're just commenting because it's their job. I mean, that's it. Now, for us, it's a little different because we, good and bad, we go to the practices, we go to these games. I mean, how many times did you watch Brock Vandergrift play in 2020?
Uh,
Five?
for me, it was two or three. When you were going back the other times, I was going to see other people.
That's true. So, but you
So
saw him play more
I
than two?
saw Malachi play a lot. That's who I saw play like
Okay.
5 or 6 times.
And therefore Sammy. And so,
Yeah. So
it's the point. But anyway, my point is that do I take what guys say seriously? No, not necessarily, because they're not there. I mean,
yeah, that's
they
true.
don't know the difference between Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton. And when they do find out what Kenny can do, which is be extremely explosive, it will be like a huge story. Like, what the hell are you
Yeah.
talking about? He's been explosive for a long time. So it's
Yeah.
just what it is. I mean, now I sound like some sort of elitist, but that's not. I don't know, man. You got to be there. It's F8 and be there. Look it up.
Hey, that's where I'm at right now. We're there.
Exactly.
That's why we're
I think
doing this.
it's very curious too the number changes because that says to me as well. Unless I'm wrong,
Why
scout.
now?
Well, because you're getting into scout team stuff. You're getting some guys are too good to, like Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint could be. I mean, he's clearly going to play, but he may be giving Georgia a look that Oregon's got a guy that's number one. I will be looking this up right now. I mean that's what you're starting to look at right now. That's typically why guys are out there in different numbers at this point. Um, Number one he's not Noah Sewell. We know that. But Chris Hudson now, is Chris Hudson a big deal for them, for the Ducks?
I don't
31
know.
passes for 419 yards, played in all 14 games for Oregon. There you go. I mean, that's what I would say. It doesn't mean that Marcus is not going to play. He's going to play. I can assure you of that. But I mean, these Oregon uniforms are something else, man.
They're
Um,
awesome. I love it. I do.
I don't blame you.
Every once in a while they shell one out and I'm like, yeah, not that one. But I would give it 8 out of 10 times. I would say I think it's pretty cool. Good for them with their Nike deal and all that. But
They
yeah,
got
I
some
don't
guy
know
man.
if those number changes. I don't know if those number
They,
changes are permanent or not. I don't
oh, it
know.
might not. They might not. It might not be what I'm saying. But I mean, I'm just saying here, man. Oregon's got a few. Got Bo Nix, Justin Flo.
No, they
Uh,
have freaks. That's what I was trying to say last week.
yeah,
Their good players are freaky
Noah Sewell.
athletes.
They got some guys. Now, I
Yeah.
think the question I've got: can their big guys hold up to what they're about to get into with Georgia's big guys? I'm
Well,
skeptical of that part.
I don't know if their defensive line can really get through Georgia's offensive line because I mean they're huge, man, and the Oregon's defensive line is not an SEC defensive line. I don't think they're bad, but their talent kind of comes at the next level with the linebackers, right? So
Linebackers are good.
their linebackers are definitely very good, but I don't know if their defensive line. I need to watch it a little bit more, maybe a little bit, but Georgia's offensive line's big and fast. They're not just
I
big; they're
know.
fast too.
I was talking to somebody. I want to add this today, and I add this real quick before we get off. I was talking to somebody today who was at a practice, and it's like the fourth or fifth person that said something like, "I don't know, but the defense is really fast."
I think the same thing. They are fast.
Like they're
Are they? I mean, are they? I don't know that they're faster than last. Channing Tindall was really fast. Quay Walker and N'Kobe Dean were really fast, but these linebackers are fast too.
yeah,
Smile and Tresman, those are fast
right,
guys.
right, yeah. And the
So,
DBs should be fast. I don't know. I don't know if Chaz Chambliss and Nolan and those guys are fast, but they're probably fast for weighing 240 pounds or whatever it is that they weigh. I mean, I can't run like that. I never could, right? So, right. Yeah, I see you're
you're in
giggling.
the post, Dean.
Yeah, you got to get them down there, get them on the block. But um, if they're as fast as people are, they're like, man, they're fast. Like I just unsolicitedly, people just the unsolicited, they just say that, and it's like, oh man, maybe they're really fast.
No, I think that they're. I would say they're fast again. They were fast last year. It was a very fast defense last year. I think the best way to put it is they're fast again because the guys that they're replacing them with are fast too. So I think you're going to see a similar type of speed to the way they fly to the ball. They might not be as good as last year just because it's a very, very tall task to be as good as that defense was last year. But I think it'll be a very speedy defense again. You're going to see them really pop at the ball.
You can be real fast when you're not dealing with blockers. That's the question here as we move forward is can this defensive line occupy people? And if they do, the speed is there. If they don't, it doesn't matter how fast you are if your face is in the dirt or you got some 320-pound guy's got his hands on you. That's not a good
Yeah.
situation. So that's going to be another thing to pay attention to. All right, thanks to Ryan for being at practice today. I'm going to put the link to his story is below. Make sure you're checking it out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.